It is playoff time, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight is when the playoffs begin, and this is where Grant and Lennon and Mike will be giving our predictions for the big games, beginning with the round of 12. How's it going, everybody? Grant Flood, Lennon Lay, Michael Cartosa, Season 2, Episode 18. Al, we came down to the wire this week, but we've continued the weekly episode trend, thankfully. So yeah, this week's gonna be kind of all over the place. We're gonna obviously recap Army Navy from last week. We're gonna talk about playoffs. We're gonna talk about transfer portal, and it's gonna be very interesting. And we have a bowl game to talk about as well, one occurring at 3:30 today, which I know Lennon is very excited for. It's gonna be DJ Lagway's first bowl game. And yeah, it'll be interesting because Florida's playing Tulane, and it should be a really good game.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a very, very, very good game. So we'll see. Hopefully Florida wins, but it's going to be a tough one. You can't overlook the green wave. But we'll see how that goes.
Pretty sure Ty Thompson's getting the start today, former Oregon quarterback. He's shown flashes, and he's probably going to be Oregon's backup heading into next year, or Tulane's backup heading into next year. You want to talk about quarterbacks that should have probably entered the transfer portal. He would have probably been on the top of my list, but it looks like he's going to stay loyal, and he's going to stay in Tulane for another year. And if he is the starting quarterback today, he has a great opportunity to prove to himself in front of a national audience. So we'll see what happens today. But on to last week. And Mike, we are big Bryson Daly guys, and we have been high on him all year long. But this 3-interception performance really just kind of killed any momentum Navy may have had, or Army rather, may have had going into their bowl game next week. But what were your overall thoughts on Navy's upset?
I did not think it was going to happen. To be honest with you, I didn't watch this game for like the first quarter because I thought it was going to be a bloodbath by Army. And then I come upstairs and I'm like, oh, they're down by 2 possessions. This is not what I thought was going to happen. Okay, maybe I should watch this game. And Navy just kept pulling away. And I'm like, what happened? Why is Bryson Daly not doing good? I was so confused.
It's amazing because Blake Horvath, too, who had a strong start to the year, 204 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, that was just his rushing. That was just his rushing stats. He also threw for an extra 100 through the air. And again, for Bryson Daly, he was picked off 3 times. He was taking a lot of sacks. Army doesn't like to be put in those situations where if they're trailing, they know they have to throw. They can't rely on their usual run game. And this was the first game all year where we kind of sensed, oh, crap. Like, if you put Army against their backs against the wall, they could struggle. And that's a problem because their defense played really well in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, Navy did what Notre Dame did to Army, and they forced them to throw the football. And if you do that, you can beat Army. I overlooked Navy. I figured it would be a close game. I didn't expect Navy to win 31-13. So, it was. I mean, it's a great game. Always is fun. It shouldn't be in the Redskins Stadium, but that's okay.
Bring it back to Gillette, baby. Bring it back.
It needs to go back to Philadelphia. But anyway, Navy. Navy wasn't bad this year. Army and Navy were very even, and Navy. Maybe the extra week off for Navy not having to play in the conference championship, maybe that helped them. Maybe it hurt Army having to play Tulane the week before. Who knows, man? But classic game. Army's 11-2 and Navy's 9-3. I think that's great finishes for the Service Academy. So.
And then you have Air Force that's all the way down there.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, poor Air Force.
They have the most chief and commander trophies though. So
that's good. At least they can brag about something. And speaking of bragging about something, that is what our Heisman Trophy winner, is going to be doing for the next few months, because unfortunately we have reached the point where, especially in sports, social media can get so out of hand. And I felt part of a revolt when Travis Hunter was named this year's Heisman Trophy winner on Saturday night. I think everybody was expecting it was going to be Ashton Genty. Yes, Travis Hunter's great. The whole snaps isn't a stat, all that argument. Listen, all I'm going to say is when you're top 5 in receiving touchdowns, along with 3 interceptions and 1 million pass deflections, you deserve your bit of credit. And it just sucked that we had 2 college generational talents during the same year, because, like, vice versa, Hunter, Genty, they would have been the runaway Heisman favorite last year if they did what they did this year last year. And it sucks for Genty because if he gets, what is it, like 170 something yards in Boise State's first playoff game, he sets the all-time college rushing record.
Mhm.
And in my opinion, playing two-way positions, great for the sport, whatever. But when you are setting records, it feels you gotta give the most prestigious trophy in college football to the record breaker. I don't know if that's what you guys think, but that's what I think.
Yeah, Genty needs 132 yards to break Barry
Wow.
Sanders' single-season rushing record in the college football playoff. Borzi's gonna. They play SMU or Penn State, right? First
Mhm.
round.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe. I mean, it's if SMU beats Penn State, then it's definitely a possibility. We'll see what happens. I want him to go on a tear. I do. Hunter, you can't say he doesn't deserve it because he's a generational talent too. But you can't. He only won this because he plays on both sides of the football, right? Can we? I think that's we all
Yes,
can agree on that.
100%.
If he was just a wide receiver or just a corner, he wouldn't have won it. Look, man, but yes, you're right. And it doesn't help that Ashton Genty plays for Boise State in the Mountain West. And you don't really – I mean, everybody knows who Boise State is, right? But not a lot of people watch them. Everybody watches Colorado and has been ever since Dion got there. So, yeah, we can't change it. We can say Genty deserved it, but you can't say Hunter didn't deserve it. It's just like you have one person who's been at Boise State for 4 years who's about to make – history if he can rush for 132 or more in a keyword playoff game. And Colorado's in a bowl game versus somebody. So it is what it is. But
I think if Boise State was to play Penn State and Genty was still to go for about 150, I think that would show that the committee really screwed up. It could be interesting. Or he could get absolutely engulfed and he could suck. You never know. Yeah. But I think the social media view of things right now, everyone's kind of like, well, they both kind of deserved it. It's okay to give it to Hunter. It would have been okay to give it to Genty. But I have a feeling if Genty goes off and rushes for at least 150 yards, regardless of whether it's against Penn State or SMU, then I feel like people are going to slowly realize, well, maybe we shouldn't have given it to Hunter. But, Mike, what do you think of this? I know you were also pretty high on Genty winning it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I played running back in high school, so I like running backs better. I also played corner, so there's kind of like two positions that I did play. But, I did think Genty should have won it over Hunter because, stats aren't a snap or whatever. But, I mean, at this point, I don't think Genty really cares that much. To me, Genty's more focused on winning the national championship than winning the Heisman. He's like, okay, I would like to win the Heisman, but if I don't. My main goal is to win a natty, not the Heisman. Once he realized they're the third seed in the playoff, I don't want to say he forgot about the Heisman, but he's more like, the Heisman can go to me or Hunter. My prize is not that, it's the national championship.
Genty, too, 2 hours after the ceremony, he posted on his Instagram story about him, making, he was cooking up rice or something like that, like in his kitchen, like 2 hours after the award show. That shows you how much he really didn't give a crap. That
he did
shows
not.
you that he is a team first kind of guy.
And that shows. I mean, he's out of all the finalists, he's the only one who stayed with his school all 4 years. The only one. And we don't have that anymore. And I mean, it is what it is. But I love people who are loyal. I'm on Boise State's bandwagon. They're my playoff team until they aren't, I guess. I mean, they got a tough road. They're going to play most likely Penn State. And if they beat Penn State, they're going to have to play most likely Georgia. So it's, but I don't know. I don't think Ginty really cared that much either. I think he knew he was going to be close. I think he also knew that the committee would give it to Hunter just because he's Travis Hunter. But it's going to be. I'm going to be watching that Boise State playoff game next week very, very closely for sure. So
it's going to definitely be interesting. And you got to think that Ginty, you could say he doesn't care about the Heisman thing. Oh, this is an extra chip on his shoulder. He's going to go out and
I'm not saying he
won't say it, but he's thinking that.
Yeah. It's more like he's not pissed that he didn't win it.
Right.
It's not like he's going to go on Twitter and do a press run about how he should have won it and Hunter shouldn't have. He's just like, all right, let this be fuel for me in the playoffs.
Yeah. Hey, maybe you should be like the Vanderbilt quarterback and start suing the NCAA so we can get an extra year of eligibility. Anyways, that's a can of hot water. That's opening up a can of worms I probably shouldn't be opening. Anyways, we'll get to more, I guess, transfer portal stuff and some coaching news as well later on. But before that, we do have our one bowl game. There's been a couple of bowl games already. I know Memphis won a crazy bowl game. What was it, on Tuesday night? We've had a couple other ones. The Raging Cajuns are on right now. But this, in my opinion, is when bowl season really begins today at 3:30. And I'm not just saying that because me and Lennon are very invested in our Florida Gators, but because this is when you actually get to good teams. You finally get to see. Granted, I think Tulane was 8-4 and Florida finished 7-5, but at least you finally have the, how do I say this for lack of better terms, the more relevant schools are starting to play, so it makes it much more meaningful.
Oh yeah, it does. I wanted Florida to get Michigan or Georgia Tech first because let's be real, that would have been a very, very, very fun matchup either way.
Although I am excited to preview Alabama, Michigan next week. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, Bama's be. I'm happy with Tulane. They're good. They're a good team. It's a good test for Florida, who's riding high off of beating Ole Miss, LSU, and then destroying Florida State. So Florida needs to take Tulane seriously. They can't just walk in thinking, Tulane's a good team. But if Florida goes in and handles their business, they'll be fine. Tulane, Ty Thompson's playing. Mekhi Hughes is amazing. They got a great offense. It's going to be very interesting. I'm very excited to watch this game tonight or this afternoon.
I think this is going to be a very defensive type game where the run game, may not get going right away for either side, and we're going to have a low-scoring first half, and then in the second half, when both quarterbacks have to throw, that's when the fireworks could start going off. I expect both teams to score at least 20, and I definitely think it's going to be a one-possession game like the whole way through. I don't see any team pulling away from the other. Mike, you do the honors. First prediction of this week's episode.
I'm probably gonna go Florida. I think DJ Lagway has enough of confidence in himself that he can beat Tulane and be Florida's quarterback for a while. So I got Florida winning, I think low scoring, like 21-17.
It's funny. You mentioned he has the confidence to be this Gators quarterback for a long time. Florida, Billy Napier, come here. If you suck next year, he's transferring and you're going to piss off the entire fan base. So don't suck next year. That's my only request. Don't suck. Because if you suck, Lagway's going to transfer.
I don't know. He seems Napier was the first,
well, but I don't play around with it no more.
Yeah, Napier was Lagway's first ever offer coming out of high school, so some like strongness there, and like he just, I mean, who knows? It's college football, money talks now, but I mean, I don't expect from my people, I don't expect Lagway to, even if Florida has a bad, I don't think we're going to have a bad year next year. I think but you have to win this game. This is a must-win football. There is a big difference between 8-5 and 7-6. Okay, 8-5, huge. With that brutal of a schedule that we had this year, and then next year we get a few cupcakes before we play Miami. But Florida needs to win this game. I'm going to pick Florida too. Close. They need to come in not so. The last time we walked into this stadium to play a bowl game in 2021, we overlooked UCF, walked in, and we got punched in the face and lost by 2 possessions. Florida can't do that. Tulane's a good team. They're going to fight. But Lagway, Badger, DK, Johnson, I think he's still playing, I do believe. I don't think anybody's really opted out except the transfer. So that's huge. We're going to be full, healthy. Florida wins by, I'm going to say 10. Give me 10. Florida wins by 10.
This game's got to mean something for sure for Montrell Johnson, considering he is likely declaring for the draft. So
well, he's a senior, yes.
Yeah, he definitely will be, and I definitely think he's an NFL caliber prospect. So he wants to have one more good showing. The one thing where I agree, if like a senior does opt out of this game, is because, crap, what if I get injured? And then my draft stock gets all screwed up, and that's understandable. But I think realistically, unless you don't have like an obligation to play, you should. And I think Johnson and the rest of the seniors on Florida, pretty sure most of the seniors in Tulane as well. I was just remember last year was like my first like real taste of like bowl season, and I was just so disappointed about how many seniors were actually opting out of games, but it doesn't look like we're going to get that this year, or at least as much of it. So that's always good.
Well, I mean, Marshall lost their whole entire team and had to opt out of the bowl game against Army, but that's a different story. But, yeah, no, you're right. I don't think Tulane's lost a lot of people big, and Florida hasn't lost a lot of – I mean, Florida lost a lot of big transfer names, 2 really big guys on defense, but that's fine. They'll be okay. I can't wait to watch this game. I'm actually really excited for it.
I am as well. Give me Gators 24-21. I said both teams will score over 20, so I'll roll with the Gators today. Tulane's good, but they are still very inexperienced compared to a team like Florida, even though they've been, funny enough, they've been for above 500 for longer, which is crazy to say. But at the same time, I feel like, you can make the argument, if Tulane was in the SEC, they wouldn't be as good. I'm not going to say you're right or wrong, but I'm going to say in this situation, Florida has played against more caliber teams. And also just the way that Tulane got dominated the entire first half against Army, that's not convincing me. I think the Gators will have this one. It'll be one possession game, close the whole way, but I'll go Gators too, because again, Tulane is kind of like, they've beaten decent teams. They've hung in there with teams like Kansas State earlier in the year. Those are decent teams, not amazing teams. So I think Gators should have it.
Yeah. Fun fact, this is an original SEC matchup. Tulane was part of the original teams in the SEC. I think Florida's 13-6-2 all time against the Green Wave.
Tulane have like a big rivalry with like LSU at one point.
Yeah. Tulane's in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. But they last played in 1984. The Gators won that one. Tulane hasn't beat Florida since 1964, is my point. So 13-6-2 all time for the Gators, I think, over the Green Wave, if my history research is correct on that. So,
well, Florida will look to avoid something that Tulane hasn't done in 60 years. We'll just put it to you that way. All right. Enough talking about bowl games. It's time we get into the real stuff after Jersey of the Week. Wow. I was thinking like, oh, here's the playoff team. I'm like, oh, nope, jersey of the week. Goes to Notre Dame. Now, this isn't the most flashiest uniform of all time, but they do have gold numbering on the back, so it looks pretty cool. And, of course, the old Notre Dame jersey, it's just a classic. They've kept the same uniform since, like, the 60s, so we like it. Penn State's also wearing some nice-looking white helmets. Yeah, I mean, most teams are just wearing their common jerseys at this point, but well, they're mixing up the uniform combo, so I guess that's good.
Yeah, can't beat the classic. It was rumored that Notre Dame would have all black, which I thought would have gone really cool with the gold, but now you get the navy still. It's cool. I do like the gold outline on the numbering too, and you got the playoff patch. And I love Under Armour, so obviously I like the. I know I'm wearing the Jordan shirt, but trust me, UA on top. But this is sweet. This is sweet. Notre Dame's jerseys are sweet, man. They need to wear their green one more, though. I love their green.
Yes. Those. While we're on the aspect of college history, they wore those green uniforms for the first time in 1977. So there you go. You want to talk about random college knowledge? There you go. But yeah, no, I think Notre Dame jerseys look good, and I think this is going to be one of the closest games of the entire playoff against Indiana tonight. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be in the snow. So it's going to be interesting. Kirk Herbstreit made a video earlier this morning walking around campus with light snow, and okay, well, that's a neat way to kick off the new playoff.
We got an in-state rivalry, and you got a little snow, and it's the playoff. It's just I'm so excited for this game.
I'm excited too. It's gonna be exciting. And on to the bracket, and we are just gonna go. We're gonna go. Should we go in order, or should we mix it up?
We'll start with Notre. Go in order of games played. So
okay, so we'll go in order by games played. That being Indiana and Notre Dame tonight. Notre Dame coming in 7th seed, Indiana the 10th. And Curtis Rourke, let me listen. I have been high on him. I've been very low on him at certain points. Indiana showed their true colors, in my opinion, against Ohio State when they lost to them a few weeks ago. That showed that they're a good team and their defense is fine, but that offense, when playing against a really good offense, they can't win in a shootout. They have to win the low-scoring defensive battles. And I think personally Notre Dame's defense is too good for Curtis Rourke to at least struggle a little bit. So I'm going to go Notre Dame wins it 24-14. I expect Indiana's most of their offense is going to come through the rushing attack today. I just don't trust Curtis Rourke on the road.
Yeah, I agree. Indiana's had one of their best seasons in football of all time. First-year head coach said he'd get over 10 wins or more than get double-digit wins. Indiana looked good. They ran into a good Ohio State team. Their defense held them for a little bit, but if you can't score on offense, your defense can only do so much. Notre Dame's defense is by far way better. I want Indiana to win, but I don't think they can. I think that are close. I think this game will be close, but I think Notre Dame's defense comes up big for the Irish, and the Irish will play Georgia next week.
That would be cinema. That would be some good football.
Yeah, I agree with you guys on this one. I think Notre Dame's going to win it. Indiana, they're a good team, but Ohio State kind of showed everyone that Indiana is not indestructible. They can be beaten. You just got to slow down their offense. As long as you do that, you can basically win. And Notre Dame has a good enough defense to do that. They have one of the best defenses in college. I think they're right up there with Ohio State having one of the best defenses in the league.
That was one transfer that we never really talked about, but Riley Leonard going to Duke to Notre Dame, that's been huge, really. I mean, that was a transfer that on paper, it was like, yeah, that might end up being like okay. It could end up backfiring. But Riley Leonard's had a really strong year. He's kept the turnovers down, and you kind of need that calm presence of a quarterback in a game or a situation like this. You got to have a guy who he's not going to throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, but he's not going to throw for many interceptions either. So what do you call like an above average game manager, right? I mean, because that's what he pretty much is. Riley Leonard's safe with the ball, and so he's pretty good. And again, I just trust him more than I do Curtis Rourke. So
yeah, and that's what this game comes down to, because Riley Leonard has struggled, but they struggled the first 2 weeks. They struggled. They lost to NIU, and then after that, they've kind of just been low on the radar. They've been winning games. Their defense has been holding teams under, 28?
I think so. Yeah, no, their defense has been superb.
This is going to be interesting. You get I'm going to assume this is a rivalry of some sort, just based on, you get 2 Indiana teams. But, yeah, I think the Irish are going to fight their way to win, but it's going to be a really close game though. Indiana's good, but Notre Dame's defense will make a stop or two and get the W for the Irish.
Moving on to tomorrow's batch, I find it funny that they wouldn't play a game like today at like 5:00 or something, and then you have 2 games today, 2 games tomorrow. Well, screw that. College football said, "Oh, an NFL doubleheader. We'll compete right up against you." I don't know what I'm going to be watching tomorrow. Am I going to watch SMU, Penn State, or am I going to watch Chiefs, Texans? I don't know. Why did the NFL have 2 really good games on tomorrow? Jesus, NFL. Back off. I could make a whole segment about this. The National Football League needs to back off. Now that we have playoff games, there's no reason to have extra NFL games on a Saturday. I digress. Moving on to the game tomorrow at 12 o'clock, 11th ranked SMU going on the road against 6th ranked Penn State. This is going to be a whiteout, which sucks because the whiteout is going to be at night, but it's still technically a whiteout. For whatever logic that is.
It's Penn State. There's really no logic in Pennsylvania. Sorry.
You may have pissed off some Pennsylvania viewers, though. Hopefully, I don't have many of those. Anyways,
it's okay. I don't like, it's Philadelphia. I don't like. That's okay. Happy Valley is okay. I love Happy Valley. But listen, boys, SMU. Well, okay. Was it last week?
Yeah.
We went over the rankings. You have SMU got in over Alabama, which I'm not saying that didn't deserve it. But you have a team who's 0-2 against top 25 teams this year versus a team who has 3. Whatever, that's neither here nor there. SMU has to – the end of the Clemson game, they played really good. They got their stuff together. They proved themselves, and that's why they're in. Listen, man, they were bumping Mo Bamba in practice. That's cool. You do that until you get into Beaver Stadium in Happy Valley, Pennsylvania. It depends. If this game was neutral site or at SMU, I'd be more likely to pick the Mustangs. Penn State, this is their chance to prove they can actually win big games. I'm going to pick the Nittany Lions in this one. Close. Again, defense. I think Penn State's defense steps up. Penn State wins this one.
Kevin Jennings is going to ball. Regardless of whether SMU wins or loses, he's going to ball. And, hey, we called it. Preston Stone entered the transfer portal, so this is going to be his team for, I believe, his last 2 years. And he is why the Mustangs are as fun to watch as they are. He is a great presence on the field. He has a strong arm. He has great vision. He's really limited his turnovers the last few weeks. And, hey, they pretty much were screwing around all fourth quarter, and they managed to keep that game against Clemson close, eventually tying it. And as we mentioned last week, was a miracle field goal away from forcing overtime. SMU definitely deserved this. Now, of course, on paper, Penn State, Alabama, significantly better game on paper, significantly better draw. But the playoffs is not about what's the best matchup. For a bowl game, maybe. For a playoff game, you got to include the teams that deserve to be there. SMU, it was fun while it lasted. I've rode the Mustangs all year long. I was the one who believed in beating Pitt and ruining their undefeated season. Unfortunately, I'm gonna hop off the horse for now. I'm gonna go pet the Nittany Lion instead. But if SMU does win this game, that would be their toughest challenge up until the semifinals round. So, I think if SMU does win, they go on a run. Give me Penn State by 7. It's going to be a great game.
I want to see SMU Boise State so bad in the college
that would
football.
be so
I want to see
good.
that matchup so bad, but I don't think who knows? Maybe SMU will hear us out on them, and they'll go in and do it. But just SMU Boise would go so freaking hard in the playoffs, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Penn State winning though. SMU versus Boise State would slap, but I mean, Penn State. Even though it is night the whiteout, it's just a whiteout game at Penn State.
It's the atmosphere.
You can't there's nothing that compares to that in college football. There's some stadiums who will be that loud, but the Penn State whiteout, just going into the stadium and just seeing the sea of white, it's something different that it almost puts fear into whoever's playing them that day. So, I mean, it will be a good game. SMU will, I think, walk in there. Jennings will obviously will do his thing. But I think Penn State's offense and defense will just kind of hold SMU to where they'll win by at least, I think, 10. I'm going to go 30-20.
I think it's another situation of we can kind of grasp what team we're going to get out of SMU in the second half. It's what you're going to get in the first half out of SMU because this game's either going down to the wire and someone's winning on a last-second field goal like the ACC championship game, or this is a game where Penn State just outright kills SMU by 30. I mean, there is those are pretty much your two options. You get a really close one-possession game or you get a Penn State blowout. So if you're SMU, you got to realize you cannot play like you did against Clemson. They were not converting third downs. Jennings was off the ball. He was rolling out of the pocket way too quickly. Slow down. Let the game come to you. And realistically, all SMU needs is to keep the game close at halftime, make your adjustments, and then go out in the second half and continue to play as strong and as hard as you do. But again, if Penn State goes out early, 2-3 possession lead, it's likely over. So, again, if you're SMU, you just got to preparate the right wing. You can't fall behind. Not every team can come back and win from behind. So it'll be interesting. That game starts off the playoffs tomorrow at 12. Then on to 4, we have Clemson against Texas. And I'm going to kind of say the same thing I've been saying about SMU. Clemson, this also determines how well of a first half they play. If they can, if Kubalak can go with Ewers in a head-to-head battle and they both are trading touchdowns, we got an interesting game here. If Clemson starts to trail, it's going to get ugly, and it could definitely get ugly. Of course, them being the 12th seed, they're going to have to play on the road. Battle of the Orange. I don't know. I think this one is interesting, but unfortunately, I think this is going to be the least interesting game of the bunch this weekend. I'm going to go Texas wins 34-17. Not that this is a knock at Clemson, because it's not, but I just don't think that. First and foremost, Texas is pissed they lost to Georgia. That was a game they should have not lost with Georgia playing their backup the whole second half. And then, so that's going to tick them off. They could have had a bye week, didn't get it. Clemson barely escaped SMU with the win. That game could have went 50-50 if it went into overtime, and they may not even be in the playoffs if they lost that game. So I think you got to go with the favorite team here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been listening to the radio a lot on my trip up to North Carolina this past weekend, and they were talking about. So I guess Quinn Ewers and Cade Klubnik went head to head in the Texas State Championship in high school, and it was just an amazing quarterback duel. So that's pretty cool. So they know each other really well. Cade Klubnik's from Texas. This is a homecoming for him. Texas's defense is amazing. Like, they're good. It's their offense scares me. But I'm gonna be smart with this one. I'm gonna pick Texas, but closer than people think. I think Clemson takes this game down to the wire. But I think Texas's defense steps up again, and this time gets to stop when they need to get a stop. Longhorns win by 3. Close game, but Texas is going to win this one. But close. Clemson's going to keep it really close. Really, really, really close.
Yeah, I think that I don't think that it's going to be that close. Clemson needs to realize that Texas is not SMU, and I don't know how well they're kind of just riding their high horse that they won it, and now they're in the playoffs because they won the ACC championship game, which I don't think many of us don't think they should even be there in the first place. I didn't. But
Miami versus Texas. Give me my money. Like that is a much more interesting matchup, but neither here or there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Texas is just they were that team in the college football for a while. I think this game's not gonna be close at all. I'm going 14-35 maybe.
Ooh, interesting.
Don't sleep on the Tigers now.
Texas is them though, bro.
But their offense is so fishy, man. Texas's defense isn't
the problem. It does depend which Quinn Ewers you get. Do you get the Ewers that showed up against Georgia twice, or do you get the Quinn Ewers that you normally get, especially pre-injury when Texas was number 1? So all it depends. Hey, remember, Texas for a good chunk of the year, they were ahead of Oregon until mid-October, and then it's been Oregon the rest of the way. So this is a Texas team that essentially went down from 1 to 5, and that's definitely going to stick with them. Realistically, they get a bye week over Arizona State, for example, but conferences are conferences, and I get it for the format wise, but can I just say this about Arizona State? That running back is so exciting to watch, but I just think the rest of the team low-key kind of sucks.
Cam Scatterbuber.
He's good. He's rushing for over 200 yards. He's good. But Arizona State's going to get crushed next week. I think even if Clemson somehow advances, they have a really good shot at being Arizona State. I look at this playoff format, and unfortunately, I think Arizona State's the least intimidating. That might just be me. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think of that, but I'm not high on Arizona State that much. They caught hot. Now, I was high on them when they beat BYU, and that was super exciting for them. They had a good regular season, but I don't know.
There's people. I'm not, but there's people who could probably argue Boise State because of the Mountain West. Even though
they've been consistent all year, though. They've been blowing out teams all year.
I understand that, but that's just the whole thing of by Boise State. People aren't intimidated by them because it's the Mountain West. I'm not. They have Genty and everything, and everyone's high on Genty, but it's if you stop Genty, what can they really do?
Quarterback doesn't turn over the ball at all because he doesn't even throw the damn thing.
Exactly, that's the whole thing. If you stop Genty, what can they do?
I don't know. I guess
Boise State went into Oregon and lost by 3. Now, granted, that was Oregon early. I think if they played again,
their only argument, though, and that was in week 2. But that's their only argument. That's all I see on social media, and people are like, "Well, who has Boise State played? They lost to Oregon by 3." Yeah, that 4 months have gone by.
Yeah, no. If they played again, I think Oregon would kind of went significantly better. But still, the fact to go into a hostile environment as a group of 5 team and only lose by 3, and your only loss. Now, granted, they really haven't played anybody worth a damn, but still, they can't.
That's why people are arguing why they're less intimidating than Arizona State.
Any given Saturday, one team can show up, one team cannot. This is why I like the 12 team. But I think this first year we're going to get like say Oregon, Georgia, probably. Most of them, let's be real here. But we'll see what happens. That's why we play the games. But
I mean, can we even just talk about how Oregon even has like the toughest playoff schedule, even though they have the 1 seed?
It's true. Yeah, they got to play Tennessee or Ohio State or Texas.
It should work like how seeding should work. Like if Clemson wins, Clemson should face Oregon. It should be like the lower seeds need to match up.
That's not how this is working though. Oregon's going to either versus Tennessee or Ohio State, and then they're going to have to most likely versus Texas.
Yeah.
So
Oregon's number 1. They're a tough team, and
if you're the number 1 team in the nation, time to prove it. Oh, you beat Penn State. Great. That's just a tune-up. For your bye week, because it's going to get harder from here.
Yeah. All right. On to this is the best game in the
round. This
is
by far the best game. Prime time, 8 o'clock. Steelers-Ravens will be over by then, so football fans can actually watch this game if they want to. Tennessee, Ohio State. And the O is going to be rocking. The crowd atmosphere is going to be insane. And this is going to be the first time we're going to see Ohio State play since that loss to Michigan. So this one's going to be a fun one. This one's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, very, very, very.
This is going to be a game.
This will be a game of all time, as they say on social media. Damn, this is obviously the toughest game to pick because this is by far the closest. I think the second closest game is Indiana and Notre Dame, and that shows you how much of a gap there really is here. I'm gonna go. It's tough because, listen, I've been on the whole Ohio State was really good. They should have came in as the 2, and then they lost to Michigan. I'm like, well, but it's a rivalry game. So how much can you really, against Michigan's strong defense, how much can you really use that against them? And, of course, they lost to Oregon because they didn't have enough time to attempt a game-winning field goal attempt. For Tennessee, I have been harping on them all freaking year long. I have said this team, they either beat up a bunch of garbage teams, they win in overtime or one-possession games like they did against Florida. They win in overtime. They win these close games that they realistically shouldn't win. But at the end of the day, wins are wins, and that's why Tennessee is where they are. In a very close one-possession game, 27-24 will be my final score. I'm going to go with the Tree Nuts. I'm going to go with Ohio State. A little bit of my Gators fandom will not have me pick Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shot at London, by the way. Ridiculous. But neither here or there. I just think Ohio State's better. Tennessee is good, but they're new to this situation. Will Howard's been in pretty big-time games with Kansas State, and he's going to carry over that experience. He hasn't been great, especially the last month. He's really been bad, but, this is a clean slate. You get a week off, you clear it off your mind, and you go out there, and you have home field advantage. So there's no real reason to lose, in my opinion. Tennessee's coming in as the underdog, I'd say. So.
Mm-hmm.
I want to pick last, Mike. Go ahead. But I will say this real quick, though. Don't y'all be – now, granted, 42% to Ohio State Stadium is really not that big of a deal, but Tennessee's going to travel, and they're going to show up, and their fans are going to be there. Will that affect them? Probably not. But I've seen Tennessee take over LSU. So I've never seen them take over the Swamp because they can't win in Gainesville. But, yeah. Good. I want to pick this game last, but Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I have Ohio State winning this. Ohio
Ooh,
State's coming
I
in.
love it. Mike just goes straight up. Yep, this team's winning this. Love it.
I pick and then give my why they win. I mean, Ohio State, they feel like they've been robbed like 3 times. No Big Ten championship, not a first round bye, and now they have to go in and versus Tennessee. Like really, they're like Tennessee is the team you give us, and also if they win, they have to versus Georgia. I mean, not Georgia, Oregon. They want to prove that they can beat Oregon. So if they win, they have that chance. They cannot. They can't. The one thing that I think the main thing that might make them lose is if they look ahead at Oregon. That's the
They
one
ain't
way they
gonna
can
do
lose the
that.
game.
Now,
The whole thing.
Ohio State was
They're
playing
not going
SMU or
to,
Clemson, maybe, but no way.
which I don't think they're going to look ahead to Oregon. But if they do, that's the one way they can't lose. But if they don't, which I don't think they're going to, they have this game. Will Howard's been in games where they've been in close situations, and he's been able to kind of rally the team back and just dot up his receivers, and even if he's thrown down to the running back, as well as like any quarterback has been doing. Ohio State's got this. I'd say like 28-21. I would say
Okay, good.
it's gonna be close, but it's like Ohio's gonna lead the whole time, and then they're just gonna get a stop on defense at the end. I think.
Interesting indeed. All right, London.
There is nothing I hate more in this world than Ohio State and Tennessee. This game, I've made my predictions for every game except this game until last night. So like I was like going back and forth all week. I can't trust Ohio State after the Michigan game, but I also can't trust good old Rocky Flop. So this is going to be really close. Best game by far. Ohio State is 5-14 against the SEC and 2-13 in bowl matchups. This is a playoff matchup. It's in the horseshoe, but there's that little song somewhere in the Tennessee hills that will be taking over Columbus, Ohio. Ohio State lost to Michigan because Michigan's run defense. Tennessee has a really great run defense. If their defense can force Will Howard to make mistakes and Nico Nico needs to capitalize on Tennessee's defensive stops and Ohio State mistakes. If Tennessee wants to dance with them, I think they can do that. I can't sing the song, but it's a catchy song. Rocky Top. I'm gonna pick the Vols. Close. This is gonna be a good game, but I think Tennessee's defense makes enough stops and Nico capitalizes. Give me the Volunteers. Good, Rocky Top, baby. Don't let me down, Tennessee, please.
Oh, let him down. Let him down, please. Please let him down. Listen, I'm not a fan of Ohio State either, but I haven't gotten to that point where I would like if you give me like Tennessee, you give me Alabama, Georgia, teams like that, like I would prefer Ohio State to win over them.
Hey, buddy, conference over everything, even if it means rooting for your biggest rival. Conference over everything. Cannot let Ohio State have any glimpse of spotlight. Don't.
But now I'm like convinced if Tennessee does win, that's a significantly easier matchup for Oregon. I mean, not by much, but it would be on paper. Well, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Any given, I guess, Friday tonight and Saturday. So it's gonna be interesting. That game, I'm gonna see. I am waking up in the morning, gonna do some last minute Christmas shopping. I'm coming home and I'm watching college football and maybe the Steelers Ravens too. That might be a good game too. And then definitely Tennessee Ohio State tonight though, or tomorrow night for sure.
Grant heard the maybe and it's like, oh.
So unfortunate, dude. So unfortunate. Oh, your conference ahead of everything? That's just like saying I wanted the Florida Panthers to win the Stanley Cup last year because they're in the Atlantic Division. Screw that. No, I don't want that to happen. Anyways,
It might happen again this year, dude.
And they're going to win it again this year. Oh, poor me and Mike watching our mediocre. Oh, Lennon, too. Lennon's a Rags fan, too. Watching our mediocre hockey teams. It's brutal.
We're not mediocre. We fucking suck.
Yeah. I've been watching, too. They don't look too good. And they freaking made a terrible trade, too. But,
oh boy, and speaking of terrible, this isn't terrible. This is just straight up backstabbing. I feel like I have been sabotaged with this transfer portal decision. Listen, dude. You got benched because you stunk. You got benched because you didn't win a game in 3 weeks. It was 3 weeks. You were being very mediocre. Your throws, it was either an amazing 50-yard touchdown or it landed in the 4th row of Chestnut Hill. I didn't know what I hyped you up after this bowl game last year. I'm like, all right, he had an amazing performance against SMU. He's the quarterback. He goes out. Boston College is ranked 24th. He's playing amazing. And then Boston College goes into slump. And I told you guys when the benching happened, I thought it was a pretty reasonable benching, in my opinion. I really thought it was. Mike will tell you, after Boston College lost that game to Louisville, I was getting pretty pissed off, and I didn't know where the season was going to go after that. I'm like, all right, well, we might as well just lose out now. I mean, what the hell's the point? But hey, you know what? You put in Jones, who played very well, especially in the Syracuse game. He balled. And then, Boston College, they get their bowl game against Nebraska, and can't wait to talk about that game next week in the Pinstripe Bowl. But okay, Castellanos now goes to Florida State. And this is where I say he's a loser. I mean, dude, you're not only going to an ACC. He can only go to an ACC or a Mountain West team because those were the only 2 divisions where he wouldn't look like complete dog water. Dude, you put this guy in the ACC or the Mountain West, he's going to succeed. You put him in the Big Ten or the SEC, he is going to suck. And even if he was going to commit to an SEC school, the best school he could probably go to is Mississippi State to begin with.
He wouldn't even start at Mississippi State. He wouldn't even start there. That's my point. And now that Florida State quarterback who played against Florida, he just transferred a couple days ago because he flat out said, screw this, you're replacing me. I'm getting out of here. He's honestly, ironically enough, he's going to Mississippi State.
Yeah, that's why I think it popped into my head, which is funny. And it's just like, dude, you got benched, whined like a baby, and left. And then, okay, I committed to Florida State. And what does he post on his Instagram story 2 hours later? Him driving around the freaking streets of Tallahassee, Florida. Mm-hmm. Disgusting.
My question, what about Florida State peaked? Boston College beat Florida State.
What appeals you? You went 2-10. You're what? Bowl eligible team for 2-10. That's garbage.
He must really love garnet and gold or red and gold. That's the only reason. I know I'm a Gator fan and I hate that university in Tallahassee, but maybe I guess get at Florida State getting Gus Malzahn as an OC, maybe. But even then, Florida State doesn't really have. They did okay. They got some people from recruiting in the transfer portal, but I just makes no maybe Florida State was the only team that needed a quarterback, I guess.
You could say that again.
But I don't know. It's I figured he was going to go to FSU. I just had a feeling.
I had a weird feeling too because we know DJ ain't getting drafted, but he did declare for the draft, if you will.
He'll get He'll be like a 7th round pick.
He'll get picked up as an undrafted free agent and get cut next preseason, and then he'll be playing next to Max Duggan in the XFL.
Hey, but make your money. Make your money.
Yeah, make your money. Max Duggan started a national championship game 2 years ago and is now starting for the St. Louis Battlehawks in the UFL. I mean, really. It goes to show you sometimes how
it does.
You play so great in college, and then once you get to the pros, you kind of go down. And for Castellanos' sake, like you're leaving Boston College just to go to the same. You're going to the same conference with significantly more media coverage, and is currently on a worse trajectory than Boston College is. So. Yeah. And all I'm going to say, Mike, I don't know about you, but if Florida State comes to Chestnut Hill, we are attending this game because I want to make a sign like Castellanos is a traitor, and I want to – oh, my God. I want this – dude, it's going to be a movie. I'll make it a vlog on my channel and everything. It's going to be a movie if he returns to Chestnut Hill. Imagine, let's say hypothetically, Graham Mertz got an extra year eligibility and commits to LSU or commits to whoever, Georgia, if Carson Beck declares for the draft.
Yeah.
You get my point.
Florida State does not play Boston College this year. However, his first start will be against Alabama. So I think it's in tally, but even still,
I blame Thomas on that one, bro. You wouldn't be playing
their conference.
Alabama.
Florida State's conference games are at Clemson, Miami, Pitt, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, at Carolina State, at Stanford, at Virginia, and then they play Florida at the end of the year.
Oh, fine, then make it the Fenway Bowl if Florida State doesn't suck. I don't know what to tell you. Rant's over. Castellanos is a traitor. Moving on to
do my thing.
Oh yeah, well, what did you want to say?
I was gonna say yeah, he's going to Florida State, and that is kind of weird. But when you're a football player, you think, or the most at least I did, in my head, I think that I'm the person that's gonna change this team. I'm gonna make this team better than they were. That's just going through Castellanos' head. It kind of makes sense why he went to Florida State. He wants to make that team better than 2-10 or whatever they went.
But they just went 13-1.
I know. I'm saying he doesn't want to make them go 13-1. He just wants them to do better than 2-10, which he's trying to do. He might not do it.
So 3-9 next year.
I don't know.
The big thing too is he wants the guaranteed playing time.
That is also true.
Florida State has 2 very easy winnable games next year. They play Kent State and East Texas A&M. So those are at least 2 wins right there.
I've heard of Kent State. I've never heard of East Texas A&M.
I've never heard of East Texas A&M too, but apparently that's a school.
Who's gonna download them on College Football 25? We'll be the lucky recipient. Oh my God! And we just talk about Castellanos because I was so high on this guy. But I want to talk about another guy I was very high on. And this is another quarterback who's joining the ACC to the chagrin of Boston College, dude. Miller Moss is awesome. I love this guy. He is so good. His pocket presence, he's got that Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford pocket composure, and that just makes him look so good. He has a rocket arm. He doesn't turn over the ball. His field general awareness is very good. Miller Moss is going to do good in Louisville. They've been kind of bouncing around a couple of quarterbacks since, Malik Cunningham left. They had Plummer last year, and I forgot who they had this year. But, Louisville was fine. They weren't great. They weren't awful. But Miller Moss instantly makes this team a contending-worthy team because Louisville, for the good chunk of the year, was ranked within the top 25, around the 20 to 25 range, but they were. Now they get a significantly better quarterback with 2 years left of eligibility. He's going to ball, and I think Miller Moss is going to make Louisville very interesting to watch in the ACC this year.
Oh, definitely. I'm kind of surprised he left, honestly, but at the same time, not really, because USC's in the Big Ten now, and that's just Oregon just freaking Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State just kind of running away with that division. So here he can go beat up on some weaker teams. Louisville might, if Louisville gets a good ACC schedule, they might be okay next year. So keep something to keep an eye on because he's going to be an NFL quarterback if he stays healthy. Because he, like I said, I watched the LSU game this year, week 0. His pocket where it is just insane. He can throw the ball too. He's a good kid. I like this kid, but we'll see what Louisville can do.
He funny enough, he reminds me a lot of Mertz, and I love those pocket like present quarterbacks that could just sling the rock after just sitting in the pocket for 5 seconds and then zip it. Like, Miller Moss is cool, and USC was a good spot for him. He really played well in that LSU game to begin the year, and he also played well down the stretch against Notre Dame. He played decent against a couple of weaker opponents. He played decent. USC just never really got the ball rolling this year. They were always just kind of like, yeah, they're decent, but they're not like amazingly good. And we kind of knew that. And I guess Louisville is weirdly enough kind of in the same boat in the ACC. They're like, yeah, they're a good team. They're not a great team. But maybe if you acquire a very good quarterback like Miller Moss, who was far and away the best quarterback in the transfer portal, I don't care what anyone says. You get better.
Look at the I'm going to always go back to Florida because I do. Look at DJ Lagway effect, right? You got a really good freshman who can sling the ball. And Florida has signed 3 of the top 11 receivers in the nation. 3 of the top, only team to sign more than one of them. 3. And the Dallas Wilson, who originally committed to Oregon, he's not coming to Oregon. He demanded his release, and he's going to come to Florida once Oregon accepts that paper thing. But again, like you said, like maybe Louisville can now go get some better receivers too in the transfer portal who want to play for a good quarterback. So it's going to be interesting to see how Louisville handles the end of this season.
Dude, give me a Louisville SMU ACC championship next year.
Dude, that would be.
That's good. That's good.
That would be a good game.
Yeah,
that would be a banger. Or you could just give us Miami, Boston College, so me and Mike could just strangle each other all week. That would also be pretty funny.
Dude, no one wants to watch Boston College thump Miami. Like, come on, man.
I love the confidence. Yeah. That team wasn't going to stink. No, I don't know. But, dude, Miller Moss.
We're losing a lot of people. I don't really know who's the quarterback.
And I give so much credit to Moss, too, because he could have went to a school like Miami.
Yeah.
No, he's going to go to Louisville, a decent team, kind of in the same boat as USC, and he's going to try to develop that program a little bit. I love that. I hate when players just like – and the same thing with the receivers transferring to Florida now. It's like, yeah, come to this young, hungry, passionate team. You don't always have to commit to Alabama or Georgia if you want to transfer somewhere. Commit to the smaller schools and make a name for yourself.
Yeah, I'm looking at Louisville's conference schedule. It's pretty interesting. Let's see. They play versus Boston College, versus Cal, versus Clemson, versus Virginia. Then they're at Miami, at Pitt, at SMU, and then at Virginia Tech.
We are going to have to highlight that SMU game. That's going to be a banger.
There's no date or time. Those aren't in order. That's just the conference games in which they play. And
Louisville's playing Boston College in Louisville?
Yeah, it looks, yeah.
They play two ACC teams I wanted to see this year, and they're not coming. That really sucks.
They play Eastern Kentucky, James Madison, and Bowling Green. Kind of in the beginning of the year.
Green, oh boy.
And then Kentucky at the end of the year always. But that ACC schedule is pretty nice, except for at SMU, maybe, or they got home versus Clemson. That's going to be a good game.
Oh, that's huge.
And then at Miami should be interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
also, but Miami just plays in the Dolphins Stadium, so it's kind of just like it's not like an on-campus advantage.
Yeah,
I am 50-50 on if I'm going to Florida, Miami next year. I'm going to Florida Ole Miss. I will be in Oxford, Mississippi at the end of next year. So I will be in the so I'll definitely be posting about that. But I don't know about Miami. We'll see. Florida plays Long Island and South Florida home to open up the year, and then we get into the thick of our schedule. So,
well,
It's going to be interesting. But yeah, dude, this is I'm about. We need to start rubbing this out. It's almost kickoff time for the Gator.
Yeah, I was about to say we got 2 more quick transfers left. This is going to be the new Boston College quarterback, for those wondering. Alabama freshman quarterback Dylan Lagrangian. There you go. I can talk. 3 years left of eligibility. He barely played. He did commit to Boston College over Georgia, though, so that was pretty cool. He lived in Georgia, went to high school in Georgia. And, I kind of don't blame him. He was backup this year, Jalen Milroe. He was going to continue to be the backup in Alabama. He wants a chance to prove himself. He's pretty much going to be day one starter right away. I mean, Jones is decent, but I don't think he's good enough to, be the sustainable, long-term guy. So I'm going to say that Lonergan will be the starter next year. And last quarterback transfer we're going to talk about today, we call Malik Murphy transferring. He's going to Oregon State. And Oregon State, I like this move for him. Oregon State typically gets decent quarterbacks from the ACC that, are good but not amazing. They did the same thing with DJU. DJ had the best collegiate year of his career. I think Murphy going to Oregon State will be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I like him. I like him going to Oregon State. I think he's a good fit for him at Oregon State.
Yeah. I like him a lot better as a Beaver than the Blue Devil, but that's, obvious. That's a great move for him too. I mean, he needed to get. I mean, he would have been the starter at Duke anyway, but he needed to. Duke was 9-3 this year, so they really Duke did really good in football this year. So I don't know, but Oregon State was. Oh, I get Oregon State and Oklahoma State mixed up all the time. It's the orange and black. It messes me up.
That's funny.
But Oregon State. Yeah, that's a good move for it. That's a good move for him.
Murphy's going to definitely thrive there. Last topic of the day. This is a little fun topic. Michael Vick has been hired by Norfolk State University. And, this is his first head coaching gig, second, head coach, experience. He was with the AAF in 2019. But this is going to be his program. And you want to know how many people, idolize Michael Vick as the quarterback, the Madden legend? He's going to get a lot of commitments, and even though it's lower D1, the lowest level of D1, he's still going to get a lot of transfers, I feel. And I think Norfolk State, they can be dominant in the next couple of years. Expect a very Deion Sanders kind of feel with this move. Media coverage will be on this team, and they are going to get a lot more games on TV than you ever would have thought.
Oh yeah, I heard they're not allowing pit bulls on campus. Mike got the reference. That's great. This is it's an interesting move. I think Grant's right. I think he's definitely going to bring the media attention to Norfolk State just because he's freaking Michael. Everybody knows who Michael Vick is. You either love him or you hate him. I hated him on the Eagles. I came around to him on the Falcons. So it's where he's dude. He was a legend in Madden, bro. I'll tell you that. He was like Tim Tebow before Tebow was Tebow. He was so fun to use, roll out of the pocket with in the old Madden game.
Yeah.
But that's going to be. It's interesting. Isn't Teddy Bridgewater coaching? Oh, I guess that's a high school. But
that was a high school, and that was also just announced. Bridgewater is going to unretire and sign with an NFL team next year. So that just got interesting for Bridgewater. Yeah. That's cool for him.
He should go back to the Vikings. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Although they have a huge quarterback room. I mean, oh my god.
But yeah, they do.
They have Darnold, McCarthy's on IR. And then Giants and 49ers legends Daniel Jones and Nick Mullins. But, I think Michael Vick's going to do good at Norfolk State. And, wow, that was a lot. I kind of told you guys that was going to be all over the place. Had to recap Army-Navy, had to predict the playoffs. Next week, we're going to have playoffs and bowl game predictions. So we really got to, just truck it through. one game at a time, but, we don't want to make next week a 2-hour episode either. So
Mhm.
we'll break it down. We'll predict the playoff games first, and then we'll go into the bowl games. I think that's the plan. And enjoy some college football. First game on tonight, Notre Dame, Indiana, and then tomorrow, that's the triple header. You start off with Penn State, SMU, then you have Texas, Clemson, and then you wrap things up with Tennessee, Ohio State, which I really don't see any of the games being a blowout this weekend, but we shall see what happens.
I see Texas blowing out Clemson.
Yeah, I would probably say that would probably be the best chance at a blowout. Either that one or if Penn State really beats up on SMU, that one has potential as well to not be as good as we'd hope. But we hope you greatly enjoyed season 2, episode 18 of Campus Gridiron. I mean, hey, this is what it is now. We predict the games. We talk about the transfer portal. It's a lot of fun this time of year. It feels like we have more to talk about than just game previews, so it's really fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, hit that like button. We'll be back sometime next week to predict round 2 of the playoffs along with all the other bowl games. But until then, see you and enjoy the rest of your evening.